You said I don't know. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. The fun has already started because I told the mister, hey, you're ready to go live? He's like, yeah, I don't care. And I was like, I wasn't really ready.
Well,
I don't know
okay,
what you want me to
what
do.
y'all don't see behind the scenes is usually if she asks me, it usually takes another 4 or 5 minutes for she goes, okay, well, I'm not ready yet, so hold on.
Well, why would I ask you if I'm not ready?
You do
That's
it all the
not
time.
true. This is not true.
She'll be like, are you ready? And then a lot of times I'll be like, yeah, I'm ready. And then you're like, okay, well, hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Wow. These are lies told as truths. Anyhow, okay. Welcome to the show. Oh my goodness, there's already noise happening. Thank you so much for watching. Please take a moment to like, share, subscribe, tell everyone you know, tell your mom and them, compartir, thumbs up, all those things right now. Take a moment. I'm going to hit share. I'm going to write a message, and I'm going to say, come watch our show. Come watch our show. Boom, post. All right, today we have a good variety of movies, as always. We try to keep it exciting.
We keep it real because I'm keeping it real.
Keep it fresh. We just always watch a good variety. And you know what? I actually like and appreciate that about you, first of all, because you started that, but about us now, that we watch everything.
Well, I watch everything.
You really watch you watch some weird things. But
why is this not letting me? Sorry.
We watch everything. So that's what you're going to see today, a cross-section of everything. All right. Where do you want to start? I'm feeling sassy because I did my hair and I got lipstick on.
Is that why you feel sassy?
Yeah. Hey, girl, hey. All right, so we have a bunch of things we watched together. We have one you watched and we have one I watched. So you tell me where you want to go, and that's where we're going to go.
To stop being difficult.
Are you sure it's not operator error?
It's not tagging what I want here.
Oh.
It does that. It's weird when you posting things on Facebook. Sometimes it takes a while for it to catch up.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to highlight and move it on. And
are you on the right internet connection?
Yes, IT support. I know how to do my computer. Page, you turn it off and on.
That's was my next
I did that
question.
today because we had a friend of mine's car wouldn't start. So we were jump starting and stuff. So while they're over there doing that, I walked over and I'm like, did you turn it off and turn it back on? I got really super country.
Did you do that?
I did. And then I was like, well, then their batteries don't always. And she's like, I'm not that country.
Wow. All right.
And it wasn't even intended to be a attack. That dog.
Oh my gosh. I opened the little package, just that little noise, and she popped out like, it's candies, baby. You can't have candies. Her little mouth's going. This dog has.
While I'm doing something here, why don't you talk about yours? You finish what you're going to say about the dog. Why don't you?
Oh my gosh! You just pulled the power. This dog is a fluffy, fat, cheeky little dog. Sabine.
Mess of a creature.
She's got all this extra floppy skin, and so when she sniffs, her little mouth is like.
Does it do it?
It does. It's so crazy. Anyhow, you want me to start with my movie?
Yeah, why don't you start with yours so I can finish doing what I'm doing?
Lord howdy. Let me start with this movie. Well. All right. So the first movie for this evening is Annette. It is currently streaming. Oh, I said ad. There we go. It's currently streaming, I believe, on Amazon Prime.
Yes. Correct.
It stars, I wrote down the name so I don't just go by weird things. It stars Adam Driver, who many of you will know from Star Wars.
Is that where we know him from?
Yes, that's where I know him from.
He's done some really good stuff, though.
Yes.
Outside of Star Wars.
He has. Marion Cotillard. And Howard from The Big Bang Theory. Because that one I forgot his name, but I just wrote it down. That's not his real name.
It's too late. That's his name now.
No, I'm going to go look him up. But I guess I forgot that he was in the other movie playing piano.
Yeah.
Yes. And
he's actually a pretty talented singer.
He's very cool, man. So how do I describe this movie? So the premise of the movie is Adam Driver's a stand-up comedian. Marion Cotillard is an opera singer. They meet, they fall in love. All this stuff happens. But that to me is kind of the subtext of the movie, because the movie itself is really exploring what it is to be famous and a celebrity, how the public reacts to the celebrity, and how the news talks about them constantly, sometimes to the detriment of their actual relationship. We see celebrities break up so much because just the influx of news and information, it's like too much, it breaks them apart. So that's underneath what the story is really about. And I diligently took notes as I was watching the movie. I know. I took notes. Simon Helberg. Let me just tell you, Howard from The Big Bang Theory. Anyways, it's a rock opera. Okay?
So is it like a full musical, like all the way through?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's one of those where they randomly sing just dialogue for no reason.
Oh,
and so you will not particularly care for it.
That is the worst.
It opens up very aware of the audience. And they do the typical old school kind of musical intro where everyone comes out just normal, like their normal selves, like they're real people.
Right.
Dancing, be like, we're going to start the show. We're going to start the show kind of thing.
Is it supposed to be the production? Or is it just how they introduce
It's just how they introduce the movie. So it's very strange. So to me, I immediately thought this is going to be one of those movies that has a cult following where suddenly they're shadow casting it when we go to a con.
Right.
Like a Moulin Rouge or yes, the other, what's the Opera Repo or Rocky Horror, where people are going to be shadow casting this thing all over the place. So it starts like that where everybody, Adam Driver comes in and he's singing and then she joins his arm. And then Howard from Big Bang's over here and they're singing down the street and they kneel down and all of your background characters that are going to appear like are standing behind. They sing the little intro. We're about to start the movie kind of thing. And then you see the costume people come and hand them their costumes and their wigs and they separate. So now we know the movie's about to start. So it's actually interesting, the setup, that it's self-aware of itself and it knows we're about to present you this film. Okay. Adam Driver is actually very talented, and he does a really good job.
He also served this country as a Marine.
He did. Thank you for your service. There were moments, though, when I could hear Star Wars' voice in my head.
Star Wars has a voice?
Well, what's his character? Help me. Kylo Ren. I could hear the voice, that deep tone of his voice when he's talking, and so I got blown away by that. Oh. In a side, like my mind got like, ooh, blown away this way when I'm trying to be paying attention. So just know that happened to me. It may happen to you. But he's a comedian, and to me it felt very Gallagher. And I don't know if people are going to get it. He wasn't smashing things, but it was very interactive with the audience and talking to them.
It was like a self-aware type comedian.
Yes, and he's sharing. And he starts sharing about his life and meeting this lady. And I didn't particularly care for it because some of it he would bust out into song. I just didn't like it particularly. But
you didn't like his performance, the way he did his character, or the movie at all as a whole? His
performance, this part right here, the comedic performance of it, that style, I don't particularly care for or find funny.
I got you. Do you find Gallagher funny?
No. I don't like that style. Genius. But it's all because his dialogue pretty much is saying, I'm here just to make you laugh. I know that. That's why I'm here. That's a persona. And he goes into this story of, why are you here? Why do you like me? Why are you paying money? You're paying me because you think I'm dumb. Just so he's also
self-deprecating.
Correct. Gotcha. But it's underlying in his song about what is real and what is the persona. And, that's essentially what he's trying to get across is like, am I even real to you? Or am I just this persona? So it gets us to that point of what is this whole mentality of celebrity, that we hold celebrities to a higher standard. There's one point in the show where you hear gunshots starting to go off. And so people are reacting and freaking out and like ducking in their seats. But you spotlight on this one guy who's like laughing and cracking up.
This during his comedy
During the comedy. Okay. One of them. There's many scenes.
I thought we were going back to like it suddenly what's up wherever doing the musical.
I'm still just in his. This is just the Adam Driver portion of our discussion. Okay. And the guy's cracking up and laughing. And so to me, it's really that idea, like, we don't even treat celebrities sometimes like real people.
Right.
They're just there to entertain us, whether their life's good, whether they're having a Britney shave my head moment. We're there just laughing and getting enjoyment out of their horribleness. I think more importantly,
that goes into the world of shut up and play basketball. Shut up and act.
Yes.
You don't have a right to have a platform to speak about politics or social issues.
Correct.
Because you're just a stupid actor. I have more say so because I'm a lawnmower.
Right.
Than you have because you're rich and you could do this. Even though, who was it? We were just watching that Heart to Heart thing.
Yeah.
Don Cheadle. He was talking about having a platform.
Yeah.
And he uses the platform. And what did he say to the people were saying? They look at me and I don't want to be seen. But the people that want to be seen, they won't look at. So he get them to look at me so I can point them over to these people.
Trying your best to do that. But it's interesting because throughout the film, things happen. His career takes a turn and suddenly the public doesn't want them anymore. Like they're irrelevant, like shut up. So it goes a little bit into the cancel culture whole thing. But so that's his. Then we get to Marion Cotillard. And she does get to sing and she does really good in this role singing. All that was really good. Her side of the story kind of explores that idea that when two celebrities get together and one is more famous than the other, or one is considered to be more high class than the other.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have, like, your...
An Ariana Grande and a Pete Davidson.
Correct. Like, those two to me don't match. So
or a Michael Sheen and a Sarah Silverman.
Yeah. So, I mean, it goes through that whole thing. But how they're constantly hounded by the paparazzi, by the news, by the fake news that they're even spreading
what's really funny is that reminds me of one of the ones that I find the saddest that you may not know. But there's a girl... I need to look her up real quick. She was on, I want to say it was Park and Recreation.
Mm-hmm.
So you remember Ben Schwartz's character? He would always team up with Aziz, and they were like the worldwide entertainment guys.
Yeah, but I didn't really pay attention to this show. This was your show.
I know, but I swore you were that watched with me. Well, she was also, I think she was also, the show you know her from would say, the one Don Cheadle show with Kristen Bell.
Yes.
Where they were the PR firm. She was a little Jewish lady that was married.
Yes. The little.
She's kind of Gelfling looking.
Yes, but she can sing really well.
Well, if she's the one I'm thinking of, she, her and Chris Evans were together.
Oh, and so that's, I remember you telling me people were hating on her because they were saying she's too ugly to be with him.
Yeah, and they were apparently like, they broke up because of the scenario, because
that's exactly
it was a situation of, from my understanding, like they're still best friends, but neither one of them could handle the pressure of how the other one was getting treated because of them.
Exactly, and that's
he was being looked at as less than because he dated her. She was looking like, you're not worthy of him. Yes. He felt bad that she's being treated that way. She feels bad because he's being held back because of it. You know, of course, we don't know the real discussions they had, but both were extremely talented.
She's talented. Maybe she's not what you would consider like classically beautiful, but she's so talented. I mean, there's some things she annoyed me in.
Well, she's one of those kind of comedians that she was super annoying.
But she's talented.
But yeah, I remember reading the whole thing about her.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. We're going to find her name.
Jenny Slate.
Jenny Slate.
That's her.
Poor thing. Anyhow, so that's what this, like the paparazzi, the news stories, and the news segments, when they do it, they're like something about love. And then on the video, it's like real love, ? Like it's blatant, throwing it in your face of how we treat these poor people. So it is at one point where they start singing it like, we love each other so much, but it goes on for at least 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, like really long. There is some nudity, just going to throw that out there. They both get naked. So you don't see all the parts, but
I've seen Adam Driver naked.
They're all on top of each other.
Can I just point out a funny thing?
Still singing. It's very awkward.
Because, it was a big deal when Adam Driver was topless as Kylo Ren.
He's topless in 95% of this movie.
So he's kind of this weird broad shape.
Yeah.
I don't know if he is in this movie or not, because he bulked up, obviously, for Kylo Ren. He's this weird broad shape. Just the funny thing is not that he was topless in Star Wars. Is as an artist, I draw for tops and do Star Wars stuff. We're specifically told we cannot draw a topless Kylo Ren. It's in my contract. I can't draw guns pointing at the person looking at the card. I can't draw Slave Leia. We're not allowed to even do anything with her anymore. She's considered off limits.
Wow.
Because of the
Is it PC?
cancel Me Too.
Yeah. Bless you.
Me Too movement stuff. We can't draw anybody that's been killed in the movie.
Oh, goodness.
Or especially if it was a spoiler. You can't draw Captain Phasma with her helmet broken to see her real eye.
Oh, goodness.
And you can't draw topless Kylo Ren.
Well, there you go.
Or if you can't draw Cara Dune anymore at all either.
Well, yeah. Well, she canceled herself, unfortunately.
Anyway,
anyhow, if that matters to you, he's topless in most of this movie. The weird part where we kind of lost me is they have a baby,
Is
And
the baby topless?
the baby is a marionette puppet.
Oh, that's interesting.
It reveals itself later in the movie, and it has a reason why. But to me, I was just like,
Is it because it's a puppet of the relationship and the media? And
it is, yeah.
See, look at that.
And later on, things happen, but it
Interesting.
really it's that. And but
It does sound like a movie that's it's a cult hit.
yes, it's
That
artsy.
it's gonna either people are gonna be like in love with this movie, it's brilliant, or they're gonna be like this movie is stupid, it makes no sense.
Correct. And overall, I don't necessarily particularly care for the film, but I get the underlying message, and I applaud them trying to go there.
I think sometimes when people make these kind of movies that make little to no sense to some people, but all the sense in the world to other people,
Mhm.
I think that is some of the most genius filmmaking because a real movie, movies have different levels. You have movies that are just strictly entertainment,
Yeah, just funny.
popcorn
haha.
entertainment,
Yeah.
stuff like Free Guy and San Andreas, and just destruction and fun and goofiness. Yes, they have some underlying tones, but they're there just to have a good time.
Mhm.
Then you have straight up action. You want the destruction. You have straight up horror. You want to be scared. Then you have these weird artsy films that can go through every genre. Like Rubber would be an artsy film for
And I
horror
loved
film.
Rubber, and I don't know why.
Human
I like
Centipede
it.
is technically an artsy film in
It's
a
a little hard to
bizarre
watch,
nature.
but I like
It is. And then films like this, a lot of Terrence Malick stuff, and I forgot who the other one was. Anyway, they make these weird psychedelic trips.
Mhm.
You know, hell, even Natural Born Killers is that kind of movie.
It's a little weird. I don't really care for
That's
that.
one of
It's
my
too weird for
all-time
me.
favorite movies.
It's
But
too
it is.
weird
It's
for me.
super bizarre. You either buy into it or you don't.
Yeah. And this one, honestly, it kind of lost me at one point. He looks like Howard Stern throughout the movie, and I was just like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Could this be the story of Howard and Beth?
It could be. But regarding the puppet doll, to me, I was like, is this a commentary on how children of celebrities aren't even real people? They're exploited sometimes. That kind of happens throughout this film. It deals with just all of these celebrity things and how we treat people, and they are real people. For me, I didn't particularly care for the film, but that's okay. But I see the good performances.
Right.
I mean, we know Marion Cotillard is going to sing beautifully. I have to
Why do
say
we
she's
know that?
French because she can sing. Adam Driver does a really good job. He's all in. He's fully invested. He goes for it. And you see the progression of his life from young to old. And I think he did a really good job in that. My favorite person throughout the whole thing is Howard from Big Bang Theory. He's a side character, but to me,
Does he play a Jewish person?
he does not.
Oh.
He's the accompanist, which is funny because he was in that
Which is
other
like,
movie,
yeah, he was
The
in that one.
Accompanist. But he actually sings and he directs an orchestra. And I was reading some interviews, and he went to France. He was there for so long because of pandemic, whatever. He had to become a French citizen so he could stay and work and get the work permits or whatever. He had to learn how to conduct an orchestra because, it's not just waving, it's actual things you have to do. And he sings and he plays piano beautifully. And I just thought his story, even though it was like a sub-level story, but he's like the consistent thing throughout the film for both your main characters. He's like their go-to person.
Right.
And so I just find that his whole story fascinating. I thought he was great in it, but I like him anyway. But yeah, so that's the movie Annette. Annette, by the way, is the child. So that's where that name comes from. It's interesting. I think if you like any of these people, you'll want to watch it. If you're into the whole rock opera thing, you're going to want to watch it. And if, you just like kind of weird, off the beat kind of movies, but that have a message, this is
It's funny, anytime she watches a musical, because a lot of times she'll watch the musicals before I will, not because I'm avoiding them, but like this one, I didn't even know she was watching. I came home and she goes, I watched this today. I'm like,
well, I mentioned it, and I didn't know that we would have time.
yeah,
So I just went for
which
it.
made me happy because I'm surprised because most of them I can't get you to watch crap you're supposed to, and so for you to randomly
You can't
watch
have
something,
candy.
so my first instinct when she starts telling me it's a musical, and this, I'm like, would I like it? She's like, no, so I just move on.
Mm-mm.
So, because she knows if I'll just every so often she'll be wrong, and I'll be like, no, I like this, and it's usually a case of just the opposite. If I think she's gonna hate something, a lot of times she likes it.
I know you prefer musicals that are more biopic, like
I like
Talk,
music
talk,
when it
talk,
has
sing a
points in the
song.
story, not just singing because they're telling me about their eggs.
no, they sang for like 10 minutes. We love each other so
Mhm.
much. Walking through dinner.
Like I ended up liking
Having sexy time.
I ended up
It's
liking
just
In the
awkward.
Heights more than I thought I was
Mm.
going to, but in the smaller context, when they just did the 8-minute teaser of that $97
I know.
song, whatever it is, I thought it was awful.
I know.
And then when I saw the
was
movie as a whole, I'm
worried.
like, okay, I get it. And it was better than I expected it to be. You know, I like stuff like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah. The Dean.
Huh?
I'm singing.
I hate Moulin Rouge, except for
I don't particularly
John
care.
Leguizamo.
I don't particularly care for Moulin Rouge.
I just like John Leguizamo playing the little small nun.
But that's why those kinds of things came to mind.
And I like
I was like, this is gonna show up at some convention.
Here's
soon.
what's really weird is I actually like the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet movie.
That one's okay.
And that's not a musical, but it's the
I
same
like the
vein
original Romeo and Juliet from the 50s or 60s.
But I know that's not a musical, but to me it's kind of in the same vein because it's
like a
modern day,
movie.
but they use the original dialogue and it made no sense.
That was very cute.
And ironically, who else is in that movie? John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo.
All right, moving on. So
All right.
Annette is on Amazon Prime now.
It is. So check it out.
What else we got?
It's worth the time. All right. Where do you want to go? Do you want to just go this way?
I don't care, whatever.
Yeah, why not? Okay, next. We watched this one together.
All right.
I think we're going to have some conflicting thoughts here.
So this next one.
Howdy. Your Mamacita says howdy. Howdy.
Oh, hello, Mother. I won't say anything
Thank you
right then.
for watching.
This next one is actually the latest Hugh Jackman film called Reminiscence. It is another one of those dual theater releases / HBO Max releases. I like all things Hugh Jackman. I like The Greatest Showman. That's another musical.
This is the greatest show.
Even though it's not historically accurate to the Ringling Brothers storyline, I'm okay. I enjoyed the movie. I think some of the songs are powerful. I get it.
I agree.
But anyway, I like all things Hugh Jackman. And I think one of the reasons I like Hugh Jackman more than anything is not because of his Wolverine, even though Wolverine made him famous.
Because of his abs.
No.
Oh.
Not because Wolverine made him famous and I love all things comic book. But he is such a wide range of stuff that doesn't go together.
Mm-hmm.
He went from being Wolverine, essentially the biggest superhero actor who stayed with one character longer than anybody else, to suddenly we all find out he's a star of stage singing and went from being Broadway. The manliest, gruffest man
doing
guy
Broadway
on stage, Broadway
he's
dancing
amazing,
and singing,
though.
and then realizing, oh my God, Eddie's good at it.
Uh-huh.
You know, and then he takes on a lot of different roles. So this new one takes him back into kind of the sci-fi world, a world similar to like Real Steel that he did, but in this world, there's been like this massive flood thing that kind of wiped out the population or something. Which I found this aesthetic to what they were doing pretty cool.
It was cool.
It's what Waterworld should have been.
When we panned in, I'm like, are we in Miami? I'm like, why is Miami in water?
It was kind of cool the way they set up. But it's also got, was it Rebecca Ferguson?
Yes.
Tandy Newton, who I always like.
Love her.
I don't think we get enough Tandy Newton. Cliff Curtis.
Well, Tandy Newton's been doing Westworld. So.
Yeah, which this movie is directed by one of the producers who also directed an episode or two of Westworld.
I was going to say, man, this seems a little Westworldy.
Yeah, it's from the
the
girl that did it, she worked on Westworld. But also Cliff Curtis, who is always good.
Always.
He's the bald guy in the movie, but he usually plays like a cholo or something like that in a lot of stuff. Is everybody else? I don't remember the Asian guy's name, but he's been in a bunch of stuff.
Daniel Wu.
Yes. He's been
Love him.
So anyway,
so good.
It's basically, how's the easiest way to describe this? It's these two people that run this service that kind of goes into your memories and can let you re-experience your memories, and it records them and brings them to life digitally.
It's kind of like when you go into the hologram. What's the hologram in Star Trek?
The holodeck.
The holodeck.
Yeah.
And you can relive a memory.
Yeah.
And you can see it.
But they're like in a tank or something. They're not like walking around, but the other people are recording it, can see it live. And I like the little detail they pointed out about like they record it happening so they can't be held responsible for anything bad or like they were trying to cheat them or something.
Correct.
And then, of course, anytime you know you're dealing with this kind of thing, weird memories happen, different things happen. It's going to cause some kind of mystery or chaos or controversy or whatever. And something does happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just dive in. What did you think of the movie?
I enjoyed the movie. I think I enjoyed everyone's performances. So let's go there for Hugh Jackman's
I do agree
awesome.
on that.
I love me some Tandy Newton. She can do no
I
wrong.
do too. I love her.
I'm not necessarily a Rebecca Ferguson fan because there's something about her that strikes me odd.
I like her in certain projects. I thought she was awesome in what was that movie? The Sleep Doctor.
Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep.
Yes.
Remember she was that weird top hat lady?
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yes, she was good in that.
And I liked her in
yes.
the Mission Impossible movies.
And this, she was a little.
She was too
awkward, maybe.
She was more average. Like I think anybody could play this part.
Yeah. So
but she didn't really stand out.
It was fine. I did like you. I liked the world that we're in. It's saying modern times, but I liked kind of the world that we're in, and all of the scenery and all of that's really interesting. And the idea that there's some sort of a good guy, bad guy thing, and all this, whatever. At times, though, the story, I don't know if it's slow or we're taking too many detours
it's very
to get
convoluted.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
I
why
understood it.
I said this to her. I understand when I say it's convoluted or a mess, which I think this movie is a mess.
I don't think it's a mess.
It wasn't a matter of not understanding it. I think it's a mess because it's trying too hard.
Yeah. So if we have our story, let's say our story is aligned.
I feel like we went nowhere through the whole movie.
Well,
you know what I mean?
We have a story, right?
Right.
And we get to hear. Well, we get to hear, but then it's like we start over with this person's story to get to here. Then we start with this person's story, and then we go back in time to get back to this story.
And what we got,
and then eventually we get over here.
But what we got to, I felt like wasn't anything. Like I understand there's an ending. It's not a case of
there's an ending.
There's nothing that
there's
happens.
A beginning, middle, and end. It's just not in that order.
The beginning is very interesting.
Yes,
because the world's set up and the stuff they do, all that's intriguing. I was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
The ending of it has some nice twists. It's interesting. It's a good cap off to what they're doing, even if some of it's kind of like, that was kind of far fetched on how they did it. You buy into it because of the world you're buying into. But the middle,
there's a lot of middle
is a mess, and it feels too slow.
There's a lot. Yeah, that's what it is. That sometimes the pacing's off.
When you start getting bored, when it's building the world, there's a problem. Like, and I'm somebody, I will stick with a movie to the very end or I won't review it. Because a lot of times all this stuff can build up to what happens at the end. And then it saves the rest of the movie because you're like, oh, that's why we had to go through that.
Yeah.
But the problem is sometimes a lot of people won't stick that far along. This one was too long and I can see a lot of people bailing out.
We had to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 people's stories to build our one storyline.
Which would have been fine had they been interesting.
Yeah, some of them were.
There's a lot of just boring filler and re-seeing the same filler and stuff that didn't really push the narrative of the story along.
And then there's a couple of really interesting people that show up that we don't really get to explore. Like this lady, Natalie Martinez, who we've seen in some other stuff. I feel like she's always a cop or detective.
Yeah.
I love her, and I didn't get enough of her.
There's also an element to the film where...
And this girl's so cool. She played the blind girl in that other thing.
Like they're showing some of the people, like the setup at the beginning. This isn't a spoiler, but the setup at the beginning, you're getting to see some different of their clients and see their memories and all this stuff. The problem is, instead of us giving us much stuff, they happen to give us stuff that's connected to later things. And then it made it feel too convenient. Like, okay, we're purposely setting the place. Instead of, like, I would have loved the beginning stuff, maybe one, but the rest of the beginning to just be what it is, letting us see what's happening. You know what I mean? And how their job is. I mean,
they kind of explain why and all that.
I know, but then it became too convenient. That's my other issues. It was I hate convenience in movies for the sake of convenience. Because sometimes, to me, that's lazy writing. If you write something with the sheer purpose, say, I'm going to put this here so that I can come back to this, but there's no clever way of connecting it. It's literally just this. So when you watch the beginning of that, like you see somebody, it's like when you see somebody and they put the camera too close on a spike on the wall and a fight breaks out. You immediately know somebody's going to hit that spike. But when they don't, it makes for a more intriguing film. Because you're like, oh, that was
Or also if they give you extra stuff that has nothing to do with anything, and at the end you're like, it's like
that we talked about Don't Breathe 2 the other day. Yes. It's the same thing. Is they had a whole setup and then they twisted it to you and made you think that's not what it was. And I was like, that is genius. And then it circled it back.
It was too convenient. Okay. I mean, overall, it's a fine movie. I wouldn't watch it again. It does get a little long and slow in some places, and eventually we get to the end of the story. It was fine for me.
It wasn't. It's not a horrible movie by any means necessary.
I think you were more in this is a mess camp than I was.
Yeah, because I stuck with it, and I kind of got back into it when it started finding its groove again. When he finally starts discovering some of the things, it gets interesting again. They could have cut out probably 30 minutes in the middle that didn't really do anything for the rest of the film to get where we went.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of the repeating stuff. There was a lot of the stupid discussions that didn't need to be there between him and Tandy Newton, between him and this person over here, and dancing with these people over here. And there was a lot of stuff that was like, I didn't need any of this.
Yeah.
And I also hate useless elements unless it's fitting the narrative or it's setting up who that person is. Like, I'm fine with, like, that's something that's big with, like, Quentin Tarantino. A lot of dialogue, a lot of setup, a lot of build-up. But you realize you're building towards something or who this person is. Even if that one conversation meant nothing for the story,
you're getting something on that person.
You're getting the personality. You're getting something.
He does some good talkies.
He does. He's very dialogue. Unlike George Lucas's dialogue's ass, but I love Star Wars.
That's okay. Anyway, Reminiscence. Where do
it's in theaters and on HBO Max, and it was very low on the total pull of box office.
And you do get to see him shirtless, if that's of any interest to you.
He's not Wolverine shape, but he's still in good shape.
And you get to see Tandy Newton in just like a little bando, if that's of interest to you. I know.
You know, movies that I really like.
She's naked a lot in Westworld.
Lesser known. Let me make sure I get you the right name of it.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'm like, she's naked a lot in Westworld, if that's of interest to you.
Which I've never even. I watched first season. That's all I watched.
I'm on this last season or the newest season. I don't know if it's the last season. I haven't gotten to the end.
I always spell her name wrong because there's a W.
Tandy.
I know, but there's a W in it.
That's at the end.
I know, but I used to think.
Thandwi.
I used to think her name was Thandi.
I did too.
But there's that W that's. Hold on, I'm gonna
it's Thandwi though, right?
Tandy, Tandy, whatever.
Should it be Thandwi?
It doesn't matter.
I'm so sorry if I've been saying
it. This movie deserves to be promoted. Gridlocked. Look at this cast. It's Tim Roth and Tupac.
Wow.
And it is.
If you're a Tupac.
Here's the thing. This is not like a full-on action movie or something like you think. This is a synopsis. Two friends try to kick their drug addiction after a friend dies from an overdose. When they try to enroll in a detox program, things quickly go wrong. So it's this drama, crazy shit.
How did I know Tupac didn't do movies? How do I not know that?
Tupac did a bunch of movies.
He did?
He's in the movie Juice. He's in freaking Poetic Justice with Janet Jackson.
Didn't see that either.
He's in what is that basketball movie with Denzel?
Denzel. You're gonna have to just take me through.
Tupac went to. That's how him and Jada Pinkett Smith know each other. They went to like one of those art colleges, and he did acting and music, and he wanted to be an actor. He was supposed to be at Higher Learning. He ended up not doing that because he got controversies. And you watched the movie about Tupac, and they told us about his acting.
Well, we need to go watch the movies. Take me on a journey through Tupac.
Juice is the first one to watch because that's a great performance.
Oh, this dog's twitching, and she's laying on my leg so I can feel her face.
We're watching Juice tonight.
Okay, fine.
We got Juice. Crazy Juice.
All right, next. We're going here. Is that okay?
Sure, why not?
All right, friends.
All right, so the next one is the latest Netflix film, this time called Sweet Girl, which I was already in. I saw this trailer a while back, but I love Jason Momoa, not for the same reason she does, but I've been a fan of Jason Momoa since Stargate Atlantis.
Yes.
And have kind of stuck with him.
So good.
I knew from when he did, when he left Stargate, or not left Stargate, finished Stargate Atlantis, he showed up in a movie Bullet to the Head with Sylvester Stallone. I'm like, this guy's going to be an action star of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Took a little while, bumps in the road, some stuff. He did a great movie that he directed called Road to Paloma, which I don't know if you ever watched.
I don't think I did.
Which is such a good movie, but it's so him too. But anyway, this movie, it's him. It's Isabella Merced, Merced,
Merced,
who also played Dora in the Dora live action Dora movie.
Dora.
She was in a Transformers movie. She was in Sicario 2.
Yeah, this little girl's got a lot going on.
Yeah, she was in that. She was in the movie with Mark Wahlberg.
Calling her little girl, and she's probably 20.
Rose Byrne and Margot, Instant Family movie or whatever. So anyway, the premise of the movie, which is not kind of what you think it is, because you think it's like a revenge flick, and it is, but the premise is essentially, this isn't really a spoiler because it's kind of the opening of the trailer. So it's in the trailer that his wife dies. So it's his wife, her mother. And there's a whole conspiracy thing about the drug that could have helped her with her cancer. It might have let her live. And then it becomes just anytime you deal with any of these things, then there's government. It's basically an action conspiracy movie of some espionage, corporate espionage stuff, twists and turns, backstabbing, but all on the basis of the healthcare system and big pharma.
Yep.
So, which is a very prominent moment in time for all the stuff going on for this kind of movie. But it is a full-on action flick.
It is.
So, what did you think of this film?
I really enjoyed this movie.
I did too.
It's really good, and
Did you really enjoy it because it was Jason Momoa, or in general?
In general.
All right.
I mean, it could have had any big, cool action dude. It needed the big action dude.
I don't think it could have had a Schwarzenegger type.
Oh, no, not that. But it needed a cool
that
action dude. And I like seeing some of the emotional moments that he goes through. I don't like seeing him cry because that made me cry.
Which made it more important.
Man.
He has a hallway scene where he breaks down, and you don't get to see his face a lot, which I think was smart because it's a full body performance. And even though it doesn't hit me the same way, I know what you're meaning when you see what she refers to as big burly men cry. People
that breaks my heart.
Bikers or karate people or.
And you need to have all the emotions, men. Have the emotions. Yeah. It's great. But man, it breaks my heart. And then after that, it's kind of the whole.
You know the first time that I learned that about
dealing
you?
With it, what?
About that, how much that bothers you? Do you know the first time?
What?
Do you not know when the first time I learned?
When?
That was when I was at the funeral for my instructor that died.
Oh my gosh! And all of these black belt men are like sniffling and crying and bowing, and I'm like, oh, this is making me cry.
Yeah,
I just can't.
She's like, I remember when we were leaving or whatever, and you telling me, she's like, I can't handle this, and I'm like, it's okay, dear. You know, he was been sick. And she goes, I'm not talking about him dying. I'm talking about all these guys crying that I've watched beat up people and fight and break stuff. And
him dying, him dying was very sad, but we knew he'd been ill for a while, and I felt like he was okay with the outcome. Like he knew, you know. I mean, people know when they know, but no, that was sad. But dang, all these people crying just threw me over the edge.
People that usually see beat the crap out of each other.
Anyways, there's some really good action in this. There's some good fights.
Can I just say that one of my happiest things about this movie is he did what was called what I call Harrison Ford fighting. Is in the movie they established that him and his daughter train in MMA and self-defense and fighting and stuff, but they're not like badass, unstoppable fighters. And so when
they're normal people,
when he fights, it's not a guy that's the unstoppable killing machine fighter. Like if this movie had been made in the 80s with a Stallone or something like this, they would beat the crap out of everybody, shot everybody, there'd be no scratch on them. That's just how those movies work. He's getting thrown through things. He's getting punched.
Falling.
He goes to hit somebody with his whole body and falls on top of him when he hits them. He's getting stabbed. He's getting shot at. He's getting cut. He's getting thrown around. It's like it feels like somebody fighting for their life.
Okay.
And even better, there's a moment where he has to kill some people. And there's a shot on his face where it shifts from the anger that he had to the true life emotion of somebody that's not a killer, like, oh my God, I just killed somebody.
Yeah.
You know, which I think was an even different narrative of this kind of character that we'd normally get from this kind of movie. Is this person had anger and vengeance and wanted to kill somebody, but when he did it, he kind of came back to being a normal person, like, oh shit,
I just killed somebody.
I shouldn't have killed people.
Yeah. Anyways, it's really cool. There's some unexpected twists and turns along the way. Great performances from him and
she did really good too. And she gets to get in on the action a little bit too. She does really well on her own. Let me ask you this, without spoiling the twist.
I'm not going to spoil.
There's an interesting twist that I've seen some people not happy about.
Oh.
What is your thought on the twist?
I got it immediately when they said that one line. I was like, "Oh, it's not this; it's this."
Yeah,
I thought it was awesome. It was very clever.
I agree. I like this kind of twist.
And it went back and answered some of the because you're like, "Why did?"
Because I was questioning some things in the movie and like, why would he say that to them? And why was this person here? That doesn't make any sense. And like I was saying a while ago, when they do things that don't make sense, but then they have a clever twist that makes it all make sense, it's worth the journey.
They're not spoon feeding it to you. They're just letting it happen. And then it suddenly that's a great payoff.
And what was interesting is there's a sequence, one of the ones that makes no sense is there's a character that says
something
bye to somebody else, but he wasn't talking to them. And it can come off two ways. what it ends up being, but also just creepy. And it plays both ways.
I thought it was creepy.
And both are correct.
Yes.
Both are accurate for the story because it was meant to be a creepy moment, but it's also something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting twist.
It was good, you guys. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I saw some people
glad.
didn't like that direction because they feel it took away the emotional depth of what they had happened before.
Oh no, I think it made it more.
I thought it added to it.
It adds a whole other mental and emotional level to the depths of pain or whatever.
Loss, redemptions.
I mean,
this movie runs the gamut of everything.
So just be prepared. You get awesome Jason Momoa, but he's also crying, and it's going to be heartbreaking.
And he has clothes on the whole time.
He does. So if that's a draw for you, I'm so sorry.
So does she.
Oh, gosh, I hope so. She's a 20-year-old kid.
That is not a kid. That is a young lady.
Okay. She's a baby. Anyhow, Sweet Girl available on Netflix now.
That's right.
Okay, now this is one you watched that you have to tell me all about because I know nothing.
All right. So let me ask you this before I get into this movie. With a movie called Flag Day, what do you think it's about?
I think it's going to be something patriotic, maybe about a soldier that passed away. Based on this, on a true story, and the sad-looking lady, maybe she lost her man, or they're coming to deliver the sad news.
Let me go and tell you are absolutely incorrect in every aspect of what you just said.
Wow, okay.
Which is what I kind of went in thinking, that it was going to have something to do with a soldier of some sort.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with a soldier.
Okay.
The Flag Day element is because there's some stuff that happens on Flag Day. So literally Flag Day. But that is not what the story is about in any shape or form. So first of all, this movie Flag Day is directed by Sean Penn.
Okay.
It is a full-on family affair, and not only in tone of the story, but the young lady in the movie is his real-life daughter. That is Dylan Penn, and his real-life son, Cooper Penn, is also in the film.
Okay, Penn family.
And they both play his adult children.
Oh, how cool is that? That works.
The premise of the story is this family, they come into the Dylan and Hooper come in later in the story because there's younger versions of them in the film at first.
I see.
Their father, Jim Vogel, I think is his name, or something Vogel, Richard Vogel, I don't know, John Vogel, somebody Vogels. He is a get-rich-quick con man kind of guy that he essentially leaves them at some point. And the mom, who is once again, she's like my Walton Goggins to you. She's the wife from Vikings.
Yes.
Isn't that who it is?
Catherine Winnick.
Who seems to be showing up in everything now.
Well, because she didn't have backings anymore.
Yeah,
she has time.
Just like you think Walton Goggins, when I saw her like this lady again.
I love her, though.
She's great, but she plays their mother, and she ends up becoming alcoholic because he left, and so she's not really taking care of the kids. They want to go live with their dad. Their dad started this new life, and he's got this new young chippy. So it's kind of...
Oh, they always do that, don't
here's the thing, is there's a very beautiful relationship. The son is kind of a secondary character.
Okay.
He's in dealing with, but this is really about her dealing with her father. And it's really, the story is about her. She is the star of the film. It's based on this lady who became a journalist, and the real life story and the situation that she had with her father, who was a criminal.
Nice.
He became, I believe, one of the biggest counterfeiters in history.
It's amazing.
But the movie kind of starts in that aspect of him doing this, and then it kind of flashes back and it tells this whole story. And it's a movie that most people are going to find horrifically boring.
Okay.
Because it's just life. It's not, there's no big twists and turns, although the ending is kind of a turn. There's no action really. There's nothing exciting. There's drug use, there's abuse, there's dysfunction, there's redemptions, there's, and he's one of these characters that you can't stand. You don't want to trust him, but you want to give him a chance, because every time he starts to seem to be going in the right direction, you feel her pain of like, come on, this is your chance, do the right thing. And every time he seems to be going in the right direction, he takes another direction.
That's too bad.
And it's not always like drug use and stuff. It's like he's going to work and he gets his job and everything's going great. And then she finds out he doesn't really have said job. And next thing you know, he's trying to rob a bank. And
isn't that always how it happens?
There's a police chase that she sees on them. They're chasing him. And she's like, come on,
can't get it together.
She doesn't want anything to do with him. And then she cleans himself up. And it's a lot of the life things of what people go through. And when I left the theater, I was just like, know how I feel about this movie.
Was it a bummer?
It is on one level, and it isn't on the other side. Like on her story, it's her journey that took her to what she became as this writer, and the hardships that she went through to find her place, because she was in a bad place. But she found herself through really the trouble of her dad, and she always clearly loved her dad, but never could trust him. Never. Every time she gave him a chance, he would always end up betraying her somehow. But he always seemed to mean well. Like he was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
He just never did it in the right way. And he's, like I said, he's one of those characters that's just not a good person, but he's not trying to be a bad person. You know what I mean? It's like he sees, I can't get a job, I can't hold a job, so I'm going to rob a bank. That's my next level.
That's just his way of being.
Yeah, and he's like, but I've got this idea. This will work. I can get this, and if I sell this, then I can have this.
Now, is she good? Have we seen her in anything before?
She's done a few things. I think this is her first lead, I believe. That's kind of what I understood. She is very good in the movie.
Good for her.
I think he gives a really good performance as well. I've seen some people think that they don't have good chemistry in the film, which I call bullshit on, because I think what feels like lack of chemistry is the issues,
the distance
of two people.
And the emotional distance.
Makes me even more curious on why are we suddenly looking at something
Sorry,
else?
I hit the wrong thing.
No.
I apologize.
Makes me wonder why, how it felt on his part and her side too, because there's a lot of scenes together, but one is specifically when she's older and he's older and they're just having this dialogue at a diner. And then then you think on the behind the scenes cameras, like he's directing the scene, but he's in this scene and he's directing his real life daughter and he's directing it to her, and she's having to listen to her director, who's also her father.
Yeah, but you have to separate.
And the scene is a father and daughter struggling. So there's emotions, there's the lack of chemistry, there's the strength of chemistry, that there's also the boss and employee structure. There's a lot of elements that play out in that one scene that make you wonder what they did together to try to find those emotions and get everything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The son he's good in the movie as well, but he's very small part because he's kind of got his own little mental issues. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue. So the character is not. I didn't even notice it. I had to go back and edit my review because I wrote the whole review and then I found out that was his real life son. So I wanted to make sure to go back and make a mention of him because it's very small. It's not he's in the movie a lot, but he doesn't do much because it's her story.
Yeah.
So anyway,
did it have a proper ending or was just a story?
It doesn't show pictures or anything, but it does say on the screen what she did, happened. And because the dad's ending to the movie and the story is very finite. There's no future storyline there. It kind of ends to where it goes, and then it tells kind of not only what she did, but that she's married and blah blah blah.
Oh, okay. So kind of a good ending.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how much of this. Anytime it says based on a true story, you don't know how much of it is the real, because inspired and based can be the actual story. Inspired, usually they took an idea and they built on it. But I don't know. I haven't read the story, but it's one of those movies that after sitting with it, I thought was a great movie. I don't think it'll get Oscar nominations, but it's that kind of movie. But it's also a movie I can see people watching going, this movie is horribly boring.
Yeah, that might be me.
I don't know. I think you would get engaged in the dialogue. Yes, thank you. I think you would get engaged in that. Even though I know you don't like real life stuff, I think you'd
real
be
life
more,
stuff bums me out because we're in real life.
But this one's also not, which I know you hate. This is not a heavy drug movie. This is not a lot of people shooting up. Okay. There is a couple of moments of some coke use and that kind of thing. I will say that for some reason, Sean Penn smokes in every scene. And I think he smokes in real life. So I'm assuming he just wanted to smoke. Because there's not a scene in that movie that he doesn't have a cigarette. Even a scene that he shouldn't be smoking. Well, it makes no sense, but he's still smoking. And Michael Caine says, if you're doing close-ups, you should never be smoking because the smoke can mess up your close-up.
Okay, that's a thing for him.
There's a whole Michael Caine acting video thing with all those different things. It's really funny. Anyway, all right. Flag Day is in theaters only. Like I said, it's a great movie, but it is a movie that you have to know what you're walking into. That it's kind of a bummer. It's not an exciting movie. It's an actor's movie.
Were there people there
in the movie? There's a lot of people in this movie.
I'm saying you went to go see it, right?
Oh yeah, there were 7 of us. It was a middle of the day screening, press only.
I see.
at the Angelica, and the Angelica was not open.
Oh yeah, so it's
So
hard
they just
to
let
know.
us. Well, they just let us in. No, it was because it was a press
Oh
only
my
screening.
goodness,
So they only let a handful of us in.
this
Which
dog
was cool. I was
is
gonna
having
tell you
a
about that.
conniption fit.
But, since Angelica's not open, there's no concessions open.
Correct.
So the one guy that's kind of, I guess, head of operations or whatever, the Angelica that we know or see,
Yes.
he just went behind there and was, "What do you want?"
Oh really?
So like, I just wanted a water.
Yeah.
So he gave me a big size water, and the other guy's like, "I got like a Coke," so he's making Cokes for people.
Oh wow, can you do that?
He wasn't giving out food and candy and stuff,
Oh,
but yeah,
but
he was
just
just
a
making
beverage.
the beverages. Yeah.
I wanted to video.
I don't want to
this
get him
poor
in trouble.
dog.
People are like, "What are you giving away stuff?"
Never mind. Just kidding.
No, he didn't give away stuff.
All
Anyway,
right.
So Flag Day's in theaters now. Check it out.
You may or may
If
not. It
nothing
may
else,
not
it's
be free.
Yeah, if nothing else, it's some great performances, and I'm always intrigued when real life family works together.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we got one more for you today.
One more. This next one is called
The Protege, and it got cut off. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. It stars Maggie Q,
Maggie Q.
Michael Keaton,
Mm-hmm.
and Samuel L. Jackson. And it was one of those trailers that came out that I was like, "Ooh, this could be exciting or really bad."
Yes, and that's
it's kind of got
exactly
a-
what you said.
Yeah, it's kind of got a John Wick, Atomic Blonde-ish
Something.
story.
There we go.
Why don't you tell us what it's about?
So the Protege basically is the story of Maggie Q, who is the protege of Samuel L. Jackson. Craziness ensues, and she goes out for revenge. That's what you need to know. She's on a revenge mission. Along the way, she meets Michael Keaton,
Who steals this freaking movie?
who is amazing.
He is. I love all things Michael Keaton. And again, I'm going to tell you, if you've never watched The Founder, you need to watch it because it's a great movie.
There you go.
But I like kind of his resurgence ever since Birdman. He seems to be in a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't disappear. He was just doing things like First Daughter and Herbie.
I
and
love First Daughter.
It's a horrible
I
film.
love
Not even
First
Michael
Daughter.
Keaton can say that trash.
He was good.
Anyway, what did you think of this movie without
I
details?
really enjoyed this movie. There's a lot of good action.
There's a lot of good action.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of good
I
action.
know.
There's some good fight scenes. There's some good gun work. And what I like too is there's a lot of fight scenes where they're just using like your everyday objects to fight. And I find that so intriguing and I love it. And you can tell that she's like been trained on to fight. And Michael Keaton has this really good fight scene with her. And
He has like two of them. So, and let me tell
He
you,
does
here's
such a good job,
Here's
y'all.
something I found out that I don't know how I never knew this about Maggie
Oh,
Q.
this is what you're going to tell me.
Yes, I have
He's
not
like,
told
I
you.
have something to tell you
I have
about
not
Maggie
told you
Q.
this, but I didn't. I found this in an interview promoting this film that I never knew, which makes so much more sense of why she's good at action.
Oh, why?
Early in her career, she was a protege of sorts, which is why this story came up, of Jackie Chan.
Oh my gosh! No wonder
He's
she
not
can
in,
move.
maybe not necessarily like in the fighting arts.
No, but she can
But
move.
he kind of helped with her career, and she
Oh
kind of
my
worked with some of him.
gosh.
So I'm like, that makes so much more sense because she's done so many action things with
Mhm.
Mission Impossible. She did the Divergent series.
Yes,
I
she's
forgot the other
just
one.
very agile.
She is.
You know, she can move and do all sorts of stuff, and yeah, that makes so much sense.
It does,
doesn't it?
I was like, oh my god, that is genius.
And
How have I not known this?
yeah, I mean, there's lots of good fights in this. There's some good gun work.
She hasn't. I don't think she's done really action in a while. The last movie we saw her was that Death of Me.
Yeah.
That was that one where she died on the island. Remember? And they were trying to figure out who
yes,
killed her.
which I liked too.
I like that movie. It didn't do well, but I like that movie.
Yeah, it's okay. If you didn't like
Darren
it,
Lynn Bousman,
I mean,
as
we
well.
liked it, so that's all that matters.
Um,
Y'all, Michael Keaton still got it.
Michael
And
Keaton is
the
awesome.
intriguing thing is he shows up just early on in the story and he's like, hey, call me. But
Yeah,
he's
it's-
still got that charm and charisma, even though he's
He
an
is-
older dude.
he is
He's
forever
working
Mr.
it.
Mom.
He is working it,
He
though.
is Mr. Mom till the day he
Mr.
dies.
Mom.
And
No, but
and that
he's
is the biggest
working
compliment
it.
because he's got swag.
He's got the swag.
He's
and
got that.
the
He's not,
ladies love him.
he's not the typical. He's not an ugly man, but he's not the typical look of the
No, but-
sexy man.
Yeah, I know, but there's something about
like
him.
Gordon
He's
Ramsay.
intriguing.
He's like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah,
I
but
think
he's
that,
intriguing.
that older man, but the way he delivers lines, the way he
Yes,
swag, the
I
way he
get
says
it. Like
things.
women would find him so attractive and appealing.
And if you watch his real life interviews, that's him. He's like
he's
just-
all
he's just like-
suave.
Yeah, he is. He seems like a guy that could be really, really nice, or a complete ass.
Yes, depending on what you do.
Yeah, and I think he's a really nice person, but he's also seems to be like one of these down to earth kind of people, not a big Hollywood type, but takes crap very seriously.
Yes, so
you know.
He's just good in this, you guys. We were wondering, like, is he actually going to do anything, or is he just a background character, y'all?
He gets on the fight, and I was watching an interview with Jimmy Fallon, I believe, and they talked about him getting in on the fighting and stuff. And he goes, look, I'll let a stuntman do the work all day. He goes, but you shoot some of these movies, they need a close up on your face. You gotta get in on the action. And he goes, it was exhausting. He goes, but I get in there and I do it. And then he goes, well, you know, because if you don't know this, he's playing Batman again.
What?
In the Flash movie, because they're dealing with Flashpoints. So they got Ben Affleck, they got Michael Keaton, all the different Batmans are showing up except for Adam West. And
where's Adam West?
He died. But no, so they asked him, he was like, what does it feel like now to go back as Batman? Now you've done an action movie like this, so obviously you can still do the action with him. He's like, it's like riding a bike. He's like, the smoothest thing, man. I'm like, he's like, I never thought I was going to play Batman again. He goes, they brought it to me, he goes, and I read an interview that he's like, half the stuff he reads, he goes, I have no idea what this means. I don't know what's going on in this movie. And he's like, these people are pitching. This is what the kind of guy I think he is all the time. He said they were talking to him about Flashpoint, and they're telling him all this comic stuff and back and forth and going there, here. And he said he's just like staring at him, and they're like, you don't have any idea what we're talking about. He goes, not a fucking clue.
Because he doesn't read it. Or
he's like, I have
a comic.
He goes, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. It doesn't make any sense to me. He goes, but okay.
It was the easy way to explain it. In Flashpoint, it's a convergence of
multiverses.
all different Batmans in every different universe or time.
Flash stuff, but
that's the easy way. Why didn't you just explain it that way?
But no, they were. But he was just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Y'all, just know he's smooth in this movie.
But he is. He gets in that action.
His ladies man.
His dialogue is awesome. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. There's a weird relationship between him and her, which is some of the best.
It does and it doesn't.
There's some of the best scenes of the entire movie to me are their dialogue scenes, not the fighting that they go against each other.
Banter.
The action's great, but the banter that those two have in this movie is just like, it starts happening. You're just like, you just want to watch them battle.
They're good together.
They're like volleying dialogue.
I'd like to know what it was like to work together, because they do now talk about chemistry. They have some really good chemistry, which is witty banter.
Which is weird because I've seen other people, because Protege didn't get that great a review.
Really?
And there's been people talking about how like she's emotionless in the movie, she has no charisma.
No. Oh my gosh!
And I'm like, she is emotionless a lot of the movie because she's an assassin who's killing people. That's her persona. But she has so much swag about her too.
No, they have so much good witty banter, and they smile and laugh together. But there's subtext. Oh my gosh, people don't get it. I bet they could be a real life couple and be happy. That's where I'm at.
And I think there's the way this movie ends. It left me to a position where I'm like, ooh, if they do another one, could we get more of them together? Right?
Yeah.
And then they do something at the end that leads you to believe one thing, but you can still believe the other way.
I agree, because I believe the
movie didn't make very much money, so that would be another one.
So good. I want to watch it again.
Yeah, I would watch this one fairly often. This to me is, I don't want to say it's as good as John Wick, but it's up there in that catalog of just a great action flick. And the other thing, if you've seen the trailer gives away a lot, because it kind of tells you that Samuel L. Jackson's character is murdered, and that's why she's going on a revenge thing, right?
Right.
So I was worried, like, well, we already know he's going to die, so what's the point?
I didn't know all that.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler. If you've seen the trailer, that's what it is, because that's part of the story. But
I don't watch trailers.
I know, but what I found interesting is how much time he got before all those sequence stuff happening, and then some of the twists and turns they went with the story and how they explained it. Because I thought they could be going this one way, but I'm like, that's not going to make any sense. But they used a very simple, easy solution that, for whatever reason, I didn't even think about to make it work. It
all works the way it's
Plus, can I just say, I love that we got a movie like this that's in Asia.
Yes.
Not in London again or Germany again, because all these kind of movies always take place in Europe.
Yes.
Like were we in Thailand?
We're in Thailand, I believe.
Getting into Thailand or Vietnams or those places.
Vietnam. We were in Vietnam.
That's right. Because Thailand, she goes. Well, no, she goes back to Thailand, or was she
Vietnam.
Vietnam?
She's
Okay.
Vietnam. Well, in
just,
the movie.
just being in these kind of locations just gives the movie a different feel. Because I'm tired of going to Europe. I've been to Europe too many times in the movies that anytime it's a spy thriller,
I love anything that we get in Asia, actually. What's that other movie where they're on the run and the Asian...
The Owen Wilson movie?
Yes, they were in Bangkok.
Yeah, No Escape?
Yeah,
that was where they were trying to escape from... Was it Cambodia to Vietnam?
Yeah.
That was like that connection or something?
But we could tell it was filmed in Bangkok because there was something Thailand that some places
because there's a different vibe to those countries.
Such a good vibe.
And it's more claustrophobic because everything is, the streets are closer together. If you've never been to Thailand or whatever, everything's close.
Well, here, and this is Vietnam, and everything is close, but also on top of each other, multi-layer. And that's actually some really good fight scenes happen in these little spaces.
That's why I think movies like when I talked about last week about Raging Fire, that's in China, or no, that movie I think was in Thailand, a lot of the scenes, I believe, or maybe China. Anyway, there's a lot of those fighting in these stacked houses and falling down to the next one, and they fall out of a window. They hit the building next to it because it's so close, and they ricochet, and it's not this far-fetched, oh, look, wire work.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they're that close together.
It really is.
That if you were to jump out of a window, you'd land like a cartoon character on the wall.
It's amazing. And I like, too, that because we're in Vietnam or wherever we're supposed to be, like, it works for her because a lot of your background characters look like her. And so I like that because it's not diversity for the sake of diversity. It's like we are in now a different culture. So we're now the diversity.
Yeah, because there's one element when you're like, I don't understand why she didn't go and this person went instead. And that's why I told you, like, because she looks like everybody else.
We're in Vietnam.
It makes more sense for her
to
be here. You know,
because in our American brain, we're like, well, this is adding diversity, but it's not. It's like we are there. We are the outsiders now.
Yeah.
So it's like she blends in, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool to have that. Because sometimes you have to do like this whole weird, what's the movie with Tom Cruise where he has to peel off his face to be whatever? I'm like, we don't even have to do that.
Which Maggie Q's in one of Mission Impossible movies. I think it's Mission Impossible 3. But can I also say it's always funny when we're dealing with Asia, there's always a white villain.
That is.
There's always a white man villain.
I'm just
even in old Jackie Chan kung fu movies and all that stuff, it's usually somebody from Britain or an American that's causing trouble.
I'm just gonna say,
just like we do here, we try to make some
art imitating life.
It is. We try to take the other ethnic and say, "Oh, they're evil." They go there like, "Oh, really? Well, you're evil here now, white man." You know, it's always funny because even if there's an Asian villain,
the whole white devil,
there's always a white man right there side by doing something wrong.
Oh, and I like too. We did have a diverse cast. Actually, we had the white guys, we had some black guys, we had every guys. I like
some music in there.
Yeah.
And I can't spoil it for you. But
don't talk about sadness.
There's a shootout sequence that, well, I can tell you, it's in a bookstore. It's in an antique bookstore.
That's all.
That's all I'm going to tell you. But when we left the thing, I'm like, were you as bothered as I was when they started shooting up the bookstore?
Yes.
We were both like, oh my God.
We love to read, and they're shooting up all these books.
I didn't even pay attention to that whole scene. Like, I
was so stressed out about that.
I was like,
I didn't even care what was happening to the characters.
You know how much money has just been lost in history?
Oh my God. Okay, for some of our viewers, imagine that they shoot up a collection of first edition comic books or something. I mean, that's where we're at.
Make sure they're not first editions of like just everything. It's like something
worth money. But I'm just like, oh my gosh, that hurt me in the heart. Because I love to read so much, and I was just like, oh no.
Funny.
Anyhow,
it's funny the things that people connect with when they watch a movie.
Because I did too.
Because that sequence is somebody is trying to be killed.
I was
and
stressed.
You're getting an action sequence, and you're getting like, why are they attacking you? And you're going, and we're like, don't shoot the books.
Reading is fundamental, buddies. Anyways, where do I watch this? I have to go to the theater.
It is at the theater only. So go check out the Protege. It's a fun action movie.
We had a lot of people in our theater, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of twists and turns.
It's good. It's really good.
I really like, I don't care what other critics say. I really dig this movie. I thought she's good in it. I thought the cast is good. Michael Keaton stole the show for me. And I would watch this movie over and over just for Michael Keaton.
I'm ready to watch it again.
I'm ready to get a prequel so I just see the story of Michael Keaton's character before he got to this point.
Okay. Well, I wanted to see a prequel of her.
It'd be even better if they said that this was Mr. Mom, and then when he finally lost his mind from working with this family of his, he left Terry Garr and the kids behind, and he became an international
Mr.
assassin.
Mom, international spy.
That's right.
Code name
It'd be called
Mr.
After
Mom.
Mr. Mom.
Code name Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom is dead.
Wow. Okay, we're moving on. Thank you so much. Move on. Next.
Okay.
You're going to tell me about videos and things.
Are you going to talk about this?
Oh my gosh, I forgot to add
But it
this
was
to
your
my
thing.
list.
Just
And that's
talk
it.
about it.
Okay, so the
Here's a
next
quick
thing,
one.
this is a quick one. This is the new Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone release, 20-year set. It comes with a special 20-year edition of the film, but it also comes with a second disc that's called Magical Movie Mode.
And it is available, even though this is DVD, it is available on Blu-ray as
Yeah,
well.
so I opened this so I could start watching it. So it's the 20th anniversary of the movie. How has it been 20 years?
Because you old as hell.
I remember watching it with the kids, so I guess it has been 20 years. Oh my goodness. So you get the special disc that's the Magical Movie Mode. So for some of us that are older, think like pop-up video.
This reminded me of a Film. You remember New Line used to have
Where
the
you could
Film
pick-
where, well, no, remember it would be in the middle of a movie, like the facts would pop up
Yes.
or
Yes.
things like that. Was the Film thing. The
Ah,
New Line
okay.
did.
I was thinking like pop-up video, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
So you're watching it, and you actually get commentaries down here in the corner from Chris Columbus. I'm going to call him Christopher Columbus, or Chris Christopherson, but it's Chris Columbus.
Chris Christopherson. Christopher Columbus made sense. Chris Christopherson didn't make any
Because
sense.
Chris, I go automatically go there. Anyway, so in the corner, sometimes he'll talk about, well, when we were shooting this scene, so they started to be like the baby. He's like, we actually used real life babies. Everybody had to be so quiet because the baby would wake up. And then sometimes you'll get little pop-ups that will ask you a trivia question about what's happening, like what is Hagrid's first name? And then you have to pick the selection. Sometimes it'll also give you extended scenes or sequences that were cut from the original film. So it'll pop up and you'll have like a little magic aura thing on the side, and it'll be like an extra, and it'll play extra scenes and then continue back to your movie. So as I was watching, I felt like the movie was just going by so fast. Like maybe we were skipping stuff. Maybe we're not, but it made it a little bit more interesting to me, and it was a little more intriguing. So I actually like this cool magic movie mode. So if they talk about how they made the sorting hat. I mean, you just get a lot of behind the scenes knowledge. So I think it's really fun. So if you're a Harry Potter fan like I am, you'll want to get this.
And it's interesting, they did put the year one thing on the side, so it makes me wonder if they're going to release the Magic Movie Mode to all of them or not. But
yeah, it's pretty
anyway,
cool. It's
and
fun.
Ironically enough, we have one of these to give away too, or a couple
There
of them
you
actually. But whatever. All right, so this week is not a really big week. There's a lot of random things, but probably the big stuff coming out is The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, is coming to Blu-ray and DVD.
Everybody really liked that one.
The Fatal Raid, which is a new Well Go USA
Go.
Asian action flick that we'll be talking about next week. It's coming out. A movie called A Habit, which is Bella Thorne. Oh, it's Bella Thorne, Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson's daughter,
Yes.
and Gavin Rosdell from
The band.
Bush, and
Yeah.
also ex-Mrs. Gwen Stefani.
Gwen Stefani.
A movie called Habit. The Prodigal Son,
Excellent.
second season is coming out. Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway is coming out.
I
think
didn't
that's
really
it.
like Peter Rabbit for
Looks
some
like it says
reason.
Viva's coming out, but I don't know if that's actually getting a release or not.
Hmm.
Anyway, those are the big things pretty much coming out next week.
All right, coming out at the theater. Starting tomorrow on Netflix, we're going to get the next installment in the Witcher story. This is called The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf.
I believe it's animated.
Yes, it is. It's an animated film. So if you're into that whole Witcher thing, this is for you.
Which I lost interest after the first episode.
Coming out on Tuesday on video demand and digital, something called Ape Star. It's about this girl, Joanna, who I think...
Is it cartoon?
Yeah, the ape and the girl kind of become friends, and
Not to be confused with the upcoming film CIA.
Yes. Then Friday, big weekend. I know you're excited for the new film Candyman.
Finally.
Is this a sequel or prequel?
It is a remake
or
of
just
the
all
original.
starting
A
over?
remake, and it's produced by Jordan Peele,
Okay.
and it's directed by a young lady. I don't remember the name offhand.
I don't know, but that's
Uh,
okay. Vanessa
But yeah, so
Williams.
it's a remake of the original.
Tony Todd's there, so
Does it say he's in there? Awesome.
it says so. It's Candyman to me.
Yeah, I don't know if he's playing Candyman this time.
or if
but
he's just there.
But I've also heard, and I don't know if this is even close to accurate, there may be some different iterations of Candyman throughout the film.
Oh,
so
cool.
maybe it could be him.
All I know is don't say his name 3 times in the mirror.
Have you seen the original?
I think I have, and it's very scary.
Well, we're gonna rewatch the original.
I'm sure he's a lovely man, but he's
Tony Todd is a super sweet man.
He scares me.
I've met him a couple times, and
he scares me.
At one point, we were talking when I was dealing with my producing partner back in the day when we were developing a TV show and an animated show. We actually met Tony Todd at a horror convention, and we got to talking about some projects, and he was interested in doing stuff, and he was such a sweet man. He was like, you come up to me, he's this big and imposing figure, and he's like, how you doing, brother? You know, I'm like, but with that voice. And, it's like, you're such a sweet man.
No, because you're going to be like,
I'm like, you need to back up, Candyman. He's also in plays the voodoo guy in Hatchet movies.
Yes.
Which I love him.
Don't
Brother
like
Voodoo or
any of
something.
that.
I don't know, maybe that's
like any of those.
No, Brother Voodoo is from Moon Knight, sorry. But he plays his character.
Okay,
anyway.
Coming out also, which a lot of people are going to be excited. This is the new documentary on the Beatles called The Beatles Get Back. It's regarding them recording the 1970 song Let It Be, or if you're a fan of Sesame Street, Let Her Be comes after A and before C. No, Let Her Be? All right.
Like the Beatles.
All right, so it's going to be interesting. It says Peter Jackson, so.
He directed?
You know.
He's probably just talking about
Who knows? Okay. Okay, coming to Hulu.
That one I'm excited for.
It's called Vacation Friends. It's John Cena. I'm going to assume doing funny things.
It is. It's a comedy.
Lil Rel.
You've seen the preview for this, the one with the 2 people at their wedding.
Oh my gosh.
And then the 2 crazy white people show up.
And the crazy people show up.
And I like that they switched it. We'll see how it works out, but it's Lil Rel and his bride. It's like a black couple who are like the nice, proper people, and it's these 2 crazy
white people that look drunk all the time.
So it's not always crazy black people.
Yep. Okay, then those of us are going to have to watch, those of us that are older, are going to have to watch this just for nostalgia's sake. Coming out to Netflix this week, a movie called He's All That.
Yeah, the remake with the sex twist.
Which is kind of the redo-ish of She's All That, which I really liked back in the day.
She's All That the one that had...
Yes.
I know what it is because they did like a makeover and stuff, right?
Yes, it's Rachel Lee Cook, Freddie Prinze Jr., rest in peace, sweet little, what's his name? Heath Ledger.
Is that the Heath Ledger one?
Yeah.
Where he's the guy on the bleachers?
Yes, with, what's her name?
Sure?
Yeah.
I thought that was the other one.
Nope, it's this one. I thought it was this one, isn't it?
Paul Walker's in there too. Did everybody die in this movie?
No.
No, I think Heath Ledger one is the one with the blonde
Julia
chick.
Stiles.
Yeah.
Is it not this movie too?
No.
Oh.
No, that's
It's like the same thing.
There was this whole string of those.
There was a whole string of these back in the 90s.
Anyway, this is a reimagining of the same probably idea, but this time with a guy instead of a girl.
Yeah, where they have to make over the girl. Yeah, this is Paul Walker. They had to make her over so that the cool guy would take her out on a date.
Walker.
Yeah.
Why does Heath Ledger get it, not Paul Walker?
Paul Walker.
And here's what's kind of intriguing.
So
it's
sad.
kind of refreshing to see. It's not a case of you having a gender swap to a woman to make it feel like women empowerment. At least it's a guy getting the twist this time.
I guess.
I have no doubt it's a trash movie.
But we need to talk about how guys are sexually exploited and nobody says anything.
Yes,
that's not fair.
Look, I understand.
Sorry, I got to throw this in there.
Because something happened recently that we were watching, and I was telling her about that bothers me. I'm not diminishing the fact that women are obviously more sexually harassed than men.
Correct.
And the equal pay thing and all the things that happen. I get that.
Oh my gosh.
My problem is with them wanting everybody to be better, on how are things. The fact that, it was about Sweet Girl. That's ironically connected. Is people, the trailer, there was a whole story I read about the trailer coming out for Sweet Girl, and all the comments were these ladies talking about, oh, I got pregnant watching that trailer, and oh, Jason Momoa I'll be his sweet girl, and all these different things that are funny.
It's inappropriate, though.
But if it was a story that, say, it was Charlize Theron, and all the guys are making the same comments, it would have been, look, these guys are being sexist pigs. But it's funny when then. And it's the same idea of that balance you need of, if you want people to be better, you can't do the things that you're telling them not to do.
Yeah, it's not.
Now, if you want to say, just let everybody do what you want, and we're going to do it because that's how you treat us, that's different. But you can't then, this also goes into an argument I was just having with somebody, and I almost did this big post about it, but I decided I didn't want to fight with people, is like this week, if you didn't hear, the new Jeopardy host was basically fired after a week.
You told me that, and my initial was like, okay, what did they find on him?
Yeah, and it comes back to that cancel culture thing, and I'm not saying that it's okay, but of whatever they did. Here's my issue. If they did it today, then I get it.
Oh, yeah.
Because that needs to be done. But all the argument is, hey, these people did this thing wrong. We want you to stand up for these people and this and this and this. And they need us to, the way we solve these problems, you've got to listen. You have to learn. Do this. But when do they accept that they learned? Because they did this to him, to Kevin Hart. There's a few other people. There's some people that were really bad and they did some messed up things. And I get that. I'm not talking about those people because they were still doing them. I'm talking about like when somebody makes a mistake and says something bad, or like this guy. When do they get redemption? Like if they did the work and they've changed and you haven't seen anything in 15 years of them doing the same behavior because maybe they grew, maybe they listened, then why are they still being persecuted when you want them to change, but you don't want to let them change?
Yeah.
I think that's a big issue because I think that demeans the idea of be better.
Yeah.
Like I've made a ton of mistakes in my life.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be the first to tell you. And I
always worry, like, did I say something wrong today? Did I have to, like, unintentionally? I always worry about that, like, every day.
Being a funny man and a white man, like I am,
you gotta be careful.
I find myself funny, and I'm always cracking jokes, and I'm always cracking jokes, and sometimes I know I can say things, and I've done things that can be misconstrued. I know I've done things that were probably inappropriate. I know I've done things that are inappropriate.
Yeah.
I know I've done things that were bad. I know I've committed crimes, but I've tried to learn as I've gotten older. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that stuff. Maybe I need to, I'm sorry I did that thing. And, sometimes I've gone to people and said, I'm sorry back then that I did this. And I hope they believe that I'm truly sorry because there was mistakes I should have made. But when do you get redemption for that?
Exactly. I think especially, too, when you have people who've been to jail and they come out, and then the public or whatever decides, oh, it's not enough. You can never have a career again. Like,
yeah, because here's the thing.
So much.
There's not a single person on this planet that hasn't made a mistake.
Oh, for sure.
Done something wrong. There's people will tell you, I've never said this. I've never done this. I've never done this.
Well,
but everybody has done something. The only difference, and Will Smith said it right, is our generation wasn't filmed. Our generation wasn't on Twitter.
Yep.
So there's no record.
Yep. We know it's there.
Will Smith made a statement about racism hasn't got worse. It's being filmed. And that's kind of the thing is we talked about this at class yesterday, leaving class, talking about, it was me and one of the parents from my class, somebody else, and I was harassing one of my kids at the class, and we were talking about, we done some jacked up stuff. Thankfully, there's no records of that. Because every one of us have been, because stuff we did back then was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't okay, but it was okay in society.
It was just weird. But anyhow.
So if I have offended you, upset you, done anything, I am telling you right now, I apologize because I have tried to be a better person.
Me too. And I worry, like I said, I do worry every day. Like, did I say something wrong? It just comes to my head every day. And I'm like,
look, I'm bad at
all I can do is pray and say I'm sorry.
I've had a bad enough life that when somebody's mad at me about something, I don't argue about it. I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming I did it.
Exactly. Can't blame other people. You always have to, number one, assume it was you. Then number two, who else was it?
If you don't think you're the problem,
you might be the problem.
At the relative, you're like, everybody's got that relative that's a troublemaker, causes issues.
Yeah, and they're like, if you don't know who that is, it's you. It's you. All right, sorry. Continuing, video demand vigil. This is going to be interesting. I know you'll want to watch it. It's called No Man of God. It's a documentary following the sentence of execution for Ted Bundy. And how at the end he only wanted to talk to one person, the FBI agent. So it's about that conversation. So it's going to be really interesting. Limited.
You don't watch American Sausage Standoff?
No. Okay, coming to Discovery Plus. If you have Discovery Plus, guess what? We have Discovery Plus now.
You just said no. Just like you just passed it. You didn't. The title didn't even intrigue you.
No, because it seems disturbing. I don't know what it's about. It doesn't matter. It's a limited release.
I just think it's funny though when something that's called American Sausage Standoff, I was immediately like, what the hell is that? You're like, nope, not watching it.
Nope. Keep on going. Coming to Discovery Plus, something called Lily Topples the World. It's following a lady called Lily Hevesh, who's an artist, and it's been filmed over 3 years across different countries and cities where she's appeared. It's interesting because it has Jimmy Fallon, Katy Perry, Will Smith, different people talking about her art throughout
it
this
like a
time
documentary?
period. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's really interesting to me, just the idea of how they filmed it, kind of like that one with that little boy where they film it over a long span of time.
Yeah.
I like kind of those
movie called
movies.
The Boy.
Yes. So it's interesting. That's kind of
That's
it.
the big stuff.
Yeah, that's the big things. There's a couple of things in limited release here and there. So get out to the movies, people.
There's a few things that we'll talk about that we haven't caught up on.
Yes, we're going to get caught up on some stuff. Well, and now also, I got to go watch Juice.
Yeah.
Whatever that's
got
about.
Crazy Juice. Love that movie. And I have the 4K special edition release. So
all right. Well, that's what we're watching.
It's a, yeah. Anyway, also in the TV world, and I've just introduced her to this, but she talked about last week, I think, about Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg doing their Olympic coverage.
Love that show.
She was on Peacock. Well, clearly,
hilarious.
Kevin Hart has a full-on Peacock business relationship now because he also has a talk show called Heart to Heart that is absolutely fantastic. And you've probably seen clips from it. I didn't know what it was from. Whereas, there's like one where it's been played up like him and Don Cheadle are in an argument about him reacting to Don Cheadle's age. But it's a talk show, but it's a conversation show. It's
I
not
like it.
really
It's
an
just a
interview show.
sit-down conversation.
It's like we're watching a conversation we weren't supposed to be a part of.
Yeah.
They're not promoting movies. They're not talking about special projects. They're just talking about their lives, their careers. And Kevin Hart's on the other side while interviewing them, but he's learning from them. And he's
just asking questions just about their lives and careers and learning. And
it's different between you talk to him because when he's talking to somebody, say like Don Cheadle, who's clearly a real-life friend, or Nick Cannon, who's clearly a real-life friend, it's a different vibe in the discussion than when he's interviewing someone like Miley Cyrus or John Travolta, people like that, because you can tell these are people he just doesn't know, and he's wants to learn from what they're learning. And it's a very, very good show. And for those of you going, I'm not paying for another streaming service.
Hey, guess what?
Peacock, you can get for free.
You can get it for free.
They do have a paid service, but there is a free Peacock. You just watch a couple of commercials from time to time.
Yep.
That's it. And it's got Punky Brewster on Witch. It's a Punky Brewster revival, which sadly was canceled after one season.
Oh, that sucks.
That was the only reason I got Peacock is so I could watch Punky, because I was a huge Punky Brewster fan. I was in love with Solo Moon Fry. It has Freddie Prinze Jr. in it, and it wasn't a great show, but I still loved it, and it's been canceled.
I thought there was another Kevin Hart show on here.
Probably.
This one. Hold on. Where did it go? Oh my gosh.
What have you done?
I have no idea. I'm going to start
Why don't you just type his name in there?
Well, because wrong one. Oh my
You're
gosh.
dumb.
I don't know how to work my device. I don't know this.
Oh, that was his internet show. Yeah, it's Cold as Balls.
Okay. Yeah.
He interviews.
They have it on Peacock too. You can watch it.
So he interviews mostly sports figures, but they start out it's an ice bath.
Yes.
So they start out.
I started watching.
Yeah, they start out sitting on top, and throughout the interview, they get deep. Like he interviewed Ronda Rousey that way, and some other people, and they get deeper into the thing. And then there's a hilarious like production guy. Have you seen him yet with the red beard?
No.
That he comes out and he there's two of them I think, but the big heavy red-haired bearded guy comes out with a headset on, and he comes out to bring stuff or whatever. And Kevin's always yelling like, "Why are you here? I asked for this 5 minutes ago, and don't help him."
That's funny. Anyway,
you can also watch Boogers of the Antichrist.
Babe, let's talk about what giveaways we have coming up.
All right, what do we got coming up? I don't know. What giveaways do we have?
I don't know.
We got some new ones finally. I'd let some other ones linger for a while because I had extra ones. Finally are gone. But we got a copy of The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Y'all, that's a good one.
Yeah, if you like the Conjuring franchise, which is funny, I must tell you, I went to put it up after I finished watching it again and putting things away in our movie room. And
Did things come fly off the shelf?
No, I couldn't find the rest of the movies. I'm freaking out. And then I forgot we set up a Conjuring universe over here. So they're all in.
I was like, the devil did
they're all in order over there in the order of
scary. Oh.
So now we got to go look and see when Conjuring falls in place with everything else.
Well, it has to be before because the girl's little, right? Is that one?
I just need to go look and see exactly where, so I know where to put it in the franchise.
Y'all, these Conjuring movies get me.
I like it.
I am scared.
And this new one was directed by the guy who directed The Curse of La Llorona.
And the worst one to me is that Nun movie.
But James Wan liked so much what he did with The Curse of La Llorona that.
No, I'm like, where is it?
Huh?
Oh, over here.
No, they're over there. Down there on the bottom next to those
Oh,
things.
it has its own universe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're in order of time frame. Just like we have everything like labeled out. It's like a little video store. You don't see it on the thing, but if you go look at one of our early videos on YouTube of the movie theater that we installed, you can see I did a video about how to install a cheap movie theater in your house, and you can see the movies. But they're labeled like a video store of genre,
comedy, scary movies,
genre,
whatever,
everything.
action.
But then Disney has its own category, and then Marvel has its own category. But they're all put on the shelf based on their timeline to watch, not when they came out. And The Conjuring is set up the same way. Anyway,
Okay,
so we have The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. I also have a couple of copies left of The House Next Door, Meet the Blacks 2, which is hilarious, as you would say.
Hilarious.
We still have some copies of Those Who Wish Me Dead, Angelina Jolie Fighting Fires. The movie that we mentioned a while ago, we're talking about next week, called The Fatal Raid. That's an Asian action flick. Then we got copies of Harry Potter Magical Movie Mode Edition on DVD. And we have copies of Spirit Untamed.
I want to watch this movie so badly.
Do you really?
Spirit Untamed. Yes, I do. It looks so cute.
All right. Well, once you see that, we'll talk about it. But yeah, we'll give away copies of that away. And I've got some other stuff coming up here pretty soon.
There you go. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Don't forget to go follow us, like us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And we will see you next week.
Yep, and don't forget, we'll be right here. Another episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live, discussing whatever came out, and probably a whole bunch of other nonsense.